When we get into architecture and decorative arts, we have to talk about Art Nouveau. So obviously we're going to start with arts and crafts. The two are actually very closely related. So the arts and crafts movement is a manufacturing movement. It's all about how we make the thing that will eventually be Art Nouveau. So what they're doing is they're reacting against the Industrial Revolution, against mass manufacturing, which of course is an issue at the end of the 19th century. And what they're going to do is you're going to have whole workshops. Instead of each person doing a small thing, the whole workshop will work on one piece at one time, or maybe one maker, one workman will just build one piece and knows every element and pays attention to the little details of manufacturing, carpentry, and joinery that we see in furniture and other Art Nouveau works. Now, not all arts and crafts pieces are Art Nouveau, not all Art Nouveau pieces are arts and crafts, but they are still very closely related, which is why we see them come up at the same time. Now, the aesthetic movement is Art Nouveau, and this is a style of decorative art that we see in the Western Europe and the US from about 1890-ish until here it says World War I. I would argue about 1925 in the United States because we really need Art Deco to take off before it disappears. But we see forms that are based on plant life. They tend to be curvilinear, they tend to be very flowing, they tend to be based on these natural forms. So looking at nature and high quality small craftsmanship. Now, Art Nouveau is going to be an important international design movement that developed art out of the arts and crafts movement. And we're going to see everything from prints and two-dimensional art to furniture to sculpture. And furniture that frequently looks like sculpture. In fact, this is the first movement where your grandma might actually have an Art Nouveau piece in the house. They tried to create art based on natural forms and curvilinear design that could be mass-produced or mass-consumed. So it's interesting because elements of Art Nouveau will be mass-produced. They will be sold at the 19th century version of Walmart. But a lot of it is that arts and crafts, where suddenly the artist is taking a very strong hand in what's being created. So we see a lot of one-off pieces as well. It's a very interesting time. We see a lot of opposition between these ideas. Now, we also see many plant forms becoming quite prevalent. Also in architecture, as we see here, where they start bringing in those curved forms. It becomes really relaxing. I mean, imagine moving through some of these spaces. It's going to have a very natural feel, very curved feel. And if you've ever looked at Japanese furniture, for example, it really does mimic many of their ideas. And it's probably coming over with the wood block prints and the Japanese ideas that we see starting with Impressionism. So we're not really getting away from these ideas of trade and globalization. None of this is happening in a vacuum. Everything is connected at this point. You have to assume we have essentially global trade.